Hey there, it's Perry with PapercraftingThreads. Today, I have a faux shutter or fractured card. Whatever name you call it, it's fun. Let's get started. I have a piece of Night of Navy cardstock measuring 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and I'm using that as my platform. So it's scored at 2.5 inches on the long side right here, which might be a little hard to see in the camera. And I die cut this piece of very vanilla cardstock with this die from the Stylish Shapes dies. So it's the second largest die that I used, and I cut one plane. And then I'm also going to stamp my sentiment in Night of Navy ink. And I'm going to die cut it as a diamond. We'll use this one in a bit, but we're going to start with this one here. So I'm going to place this in the middle, lining up the points with the score line and trying to leave the same amount of space top and bottom. No need to measure that part, but you certainly can do that if you'd like. And I'm using liquid glue, so I have time to move it around. And the points are lined up with the score line. Then the next thing I'm going to do is apply this. I cut my strips in copper clay at 1/4 inch wide. I'm going to apply the glue in a thin line and just kind of freehand it the rest of the way. It'll all be covered up, so if it's not totally straight, it will not matter. And then I'm going to lay my strip down here like this. And then I'm going to make another line of glue and use the Night of Navy strip that I cut at 1/8 of an inch. And you can start any side, it doesn't matter which side you start at. I just happen to start on the right. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Draw my line. First comes the brown or copper clay. And this is why I'm using the glue, because I didn't have it butted up tightly to the previous one. And another thin line of glue. And now I'm going to use one of these, a short one. And all of these came just from scraps. Though I will say when you're cutting the 1/8 of an inch strips, it helps to have a wider piece to start out with, because then it can be butted up against the edge of your trimmer and won't wiggle around as much if you're trying to cut something that's super, say that's 1/2 inch and you're trying to use that. It's much harder to keep it straight. And again, it moved just a tiny bit as I was putting it down, so no problem. Pick it up and place it down again. And then I'm going to use this piece of designer series paper from Oh Holy Night, and I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to just put glue straight down on this piece of cardstock. You want to get close to the edges and butt that up as well. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut some of this off just so it's a little easier to work with. We're also going to trim it on the trimmer, but for right now this will be a start, so things aren't sticking out all over the place. You can just try and use your scissors to cut it all the way. Okay, now I have a decision to make. Do I want the pattern to go the same direction? And yes, I do. I have trouble when things go the opposite direction. I like it to be the same. And all of this is gonna get cut off, so it's, that little bit of glue will disappear when it dries. And then the last bit I'm going to put on is this pattern from that same pack of DSP. I'll try to be a little lighter handed on my glue. I'm going to have to go this way because there was a little tiny bit that was sticking out. Okay, now I'm going to trim off this. And again, I could just cut straight there, but I'm going to cut around because I'm trying to conserve my paper, so I have lots to use for other projects. I know I'm using the opposite end of a very long piece, but I can still salvage lots of it. Okay, so as you can see, it's a bit wobbly because I did not cut super close with my scissors. You could just do it with your scissors, but no matter how carefully I do it, I usually end up with some bits that are off just enough that it looks off kilter. And that it's just as easy to use the trimmer. So I'm going to bring out the trimmer, and I'm actually gonna cut this down quite a bit. So let's pick a side here that is the most level, and that one looks the best. So I'm going to just put it up here and trim off what's fondly known as a skosh. Or the other way you can look at it is I can line it up with just the edge of this little bit on the trimmer so that I'm cutting off the same amount on all sides. So now I have my piece that's all nicely trimmed, but then what I'm going to do is place this. This is my card base or card mat. And this mat measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I wanted it to and I know it's a little bit of an odd size, but I wanted these Night of Navy lines to be about the same width as what the border is all around, so it looks like it continues. Going to add dimensionals, and I'm using a lot of them because this card is going to be mailed. If it was being hand delivered, I wouldn't need to use as many dimensionals, but to make sure it doesn't get flattened or squished or bent as it's being mailed, I'm going to put it on this way. And then I'm just going to line it up, decorate the inside. And here's my version of a fractured card. For written instructions, visit my blog at. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye!